welcome back. Tonight we are going to get back after the spool up testing. I've been really itching to do this, especially since the nitrous valve incident. But in Kentucky, the weather has just been crazy up and down, and so I'm kind of having to wait for the right days and the right temperatures to be able to do this. So that way we can kind of do a back-to-back comparison like I've been talking about. So today is not the most ideal day. It's a little cold out there. It's actually pretty cold. It's 51 degrees outside. The humidity in the air is really good. It's really low, so the air is very crispy. And when the air is good and crispy like that, you have to really be careful with your nitrous tune-ups. So we're gonna leave everything alone like it was back in October. It was a little warmer back in October, but we're gonna just see how it fares and leave our nitrous setup alone. So for this first spool up, the first spool jet is an 024. It'll be coming on at 1400 RPM. The second spool jet is an 033, coming on at 1900 RPM. And other than that, we're gonna leave everything alone and we're gonna just turn the bottle pressure down a little bit. We'll probably start somewhere in like the 750 range, just to make sure that we don't backfire it real bad and kind of see what we got. So let's get this thing fired up, backed out, warmed up, get a little high idle heat in it, and make some smoke, see what it does. So it definitely does not like the cold temperature with that particular nitrous and fuel setup that's in it. The first one you've seen there popped pretty good, had a little fire out the exhaust. We don't want that. That's no bueno. So purged off quite a bit of pressure, actually dropped the bottle pressure all the way down to 650 PSI, which is not remotely what we would be running at the track, but in the sakes of science, I dropped that down just to see what it would do. And on the second one, it didn't do much better. It still stumbled and coughed. It's just not gonna be able to take that much nitrous in that cold of air. So instead of going and changing the jets, like what we would have to do if we were trying to race in that air, I'm just gonna wait until it's a nicer day. I want to do a decent back-to-back comparison so we can see, hey, you know, we just bolted the 98 on, and this is how much slower or whatever it spools, right? If we go and change a bunch of stuff right now, we're not going to get that good back-to-back comparison. So the weather forecast is looking good for later in the week. So we're going to wait until another day when the temperature is better so we can do a little bit better back-to-back comparison. Okay, day 2 of spool up testing. Today is a much nicer day. It is 70 degrees. It is pretty humid because we did have a rainstorm last night and into early this morning. So usually the humidity will require more nitrous. But it's 70 degrees. It's not extremely hot, so you still have to be careful with your nitrous tune-up as far as backfiring goes. Because of yesterday's experience with the 50-degree temps and how easy it was to backfire, I have elected to change the second spool jet to a 24 jet. So the first and second are both 24s, still coming on at the same amount of time, but I just don't want to backfire again, so I'd rather start conservative and then work our way back into something that we know is going to work. So let's get this first one out of the way, get it warmed up, idled out, and see what this thing will make on the brake. Not terrible for our first nitrous spool up. The trans temp was 99 degrees, the water temp was 110 degrees, and the AFR was 14.9. Shaft speed was 50,923 RPM, and the engine RPM was 351.9, so 3520 almost, and the boost was 12.7. So the boost is still low. We need to work on getting the boost higher. We need to leave somewhere in the 20 to 22 pounds of boost range. Keep in mind that this turbo is going to make a little bit more power at the same boost level. So we don't necessarily have to hit the exact same number of boost that the 88 was, but we need to get closer. At 12.7, it's not making the same power as it would be at 22 pounds of boost with the 88 setup. And you don't want to leave too low and fall off of the turbo, or have a really lazy boost ramp on a four-wheel drive truck. If you don't hit it hard on the starting line and it drives into power, it's either going to spin when the boost comes in, or it's going to drive all over the track and be ugly and dangerous. So need to be able to get after it pretty decent up front. So we need this thing to make at least 18 pounds of boost, preferably something in the 20 to 22 range. The bottle pressure on that was 760 psi, so a little bit lower than what we would normally run at the track, but that's okay because we're starting conservative here. So on a conservative setup like this, it took from 2 psi to the staging limiter 5.42 seconds. So that's not terrible, but there's room for improvement for sure. So for this next spool up, I want to try something a little bit different. I want to manipulate the RPM a little bit and see if it will make more boost before I go mechanically changing anything. So all I'm going to do is turn the dump valve off at 8 pounds of boost. So once this thing gets up to about 8 pounds of boost, the dump valve's going to turn off, and then I'd like to see what the engine RPM does and what boost does, so I kind of have an idea of what this turbo wants, so that way we can give it what it wants for the next spool up. So let's try that. It didn't like that. I even gave it a little bit more nitrous pressure this time to be something closer to what we would run at the track. That bottle pressure was 860, and when the dump turned off on that thing, the engine RPM just laid over. The engine RPM maxed out at 3138, and the boost was 11.4. So it made a pound and a half less boost, and almost 400 RPM less. So one, that's a testament that the dump valves absolutely do work, but it shows us that this turbo likes RPM. We're not going to be able to load it and expect it to make more boost because it needs more engine RPM to flow more air. Because that turned off, everything was kind of ugly. The AFR was 12.5 to 1, which is not good. And it took 7.45 seconds to get from 2 PSI to the limiter. So that is definitely not raceable. That's not even testable in my opinion. And the trans temp was 119 degrees, so trans was good and warm, and the water temp was 107, so the water was good and warm as well. So really, there's nothing to complain about there, except for we learned that this turbo does not want the dump valve to be turned off, at least not at that low of a boost. So we're gonna call it a day here. It's getting late, and the rain was coming in a little bit sooner than what I had hoped for. And I'm going to think about exactly the changes that I want to make moving forward. I have several things that I'm thinking of based off of the data that I've seen here. It seems like this setup is a little bit easier to overfuel. It's a little bit lazier through the middle from the time that it gets to 2 pounds of boost to, you know, getting up through to the target RPM is a little bit lazier. So I need to finesse the fuel quantity a little bit there. I think it's overfueled down low, which is hurting things. And then finding a happy medium with the nitrous setup is what really needs to happen next. So back-to-back comparison-wise, just changing nothing else, this turbo is definitely more challenging. It's not gonna be necessarily as easy of a road as you would think, but I am confident that if we can get the AFR looking better and we can get the fuel quantity looking better, the smoke looking better, then we'll be able to bring in the proper amounts of nitrous and we'll be able to make this thing work happy. This is a big turbo. You know, a 98-108 is a big boy on a little 5.9 12 valve. So, you know, kind of got our work cut out for us here, and there's not a lot of people really doing this. But just like I do everything, one little chip away at a time, one little step at a time, we'll get it figured out, and I'm confident that we'll get this thing spooling just as fast as that 88-103 did. So stick around, we got more spool ups coming right around the corner. Just got to do a little thinking, wait for the next warm day, and we'll be back at it. So if you're new here, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, helps me get the content out to more people. And I appreciate you guys watching, and like always, see you next time.